Hello and welcome to the show with me, Gillian Goss. So today I am really excited to have as my guest a brother and sister team who are just launching Metropolis World, a new metaverse that's quite different to existing ones. And the reason why it's different, I think, is because of their backgrounds. So Rania Ajami and Rashid Ajami, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having us, Gillian. Thanks so much.
No, it's not often when I do research on my subjects that I come across such interesting backgrounds. I was going, whoo! So Rania, we'll start with you. You're a writer, director, and producer. Tell me a little bit about your awards. There's more awards on your films, your short films. Fantastic. Tell me a bit about your film work.
Yes, absolutely. So started in film. I did a documentary on Gaddafi's female bodyguards while I was still studying at Tisch, doing my master's there. Then did a couple of sort of fantastical films, really into creating worlds and stylized environments that people can sort of get lost in. So creating atmosphere. And then actually after my films, I did spend a lot of time. I spent 7 years building an immersive interactive family adventure called Pip's Island. And it was a very big success. We opened in Times Square. And at the time we were talking about multiverse. And the idea was that we were going to launch this new IP, this journey where people go through this entire island, which we built out. Kids were the heroes of the show. There were actors, there were puppets, there was technology, gamification, all kinds of things. And that really, I think, was very influential in terms of what we're doing now with Metropolis, because we really spent a long time creating a very new entertainment platform that even the Disneys of the world were looking at. And I think for us, or at least for myself, this world building, this idea of really taking time to build narratives and getting people hooked into a story is, I think, the key to making people invested in any kind of metaverse world that you're doing.
Wow, so you were a real OG, as they say, original gangster, only you didn't maybe know it for the metaverse.
Maybe, I like that.
Yeah, and O is definitely original, not old. Okay, just that's really interesting. So you're looking at these things, you're playing with it. Where was it, like 2D, or how were you making this experience immersive pre metaverses?
It was actually fully tactile. It was fully 3D. It was, so we built 13 sets that you would go in. You would enter this incredible tree that would light up. You would go through these underground sea corals. I mean, the characters were dressed up. We had animation built within the environment. So it was really a fully fleshed out world that was tactile, and we had children come many times. Like they loved it so much. They loved this adventure and the characters, Pip, Pebble, and Finn, and they were part of rescuing this island. And for us, it was at a time when not many people knew about immersive experiences. And when we would tell people the idea, that they would say, well, what is it? Is it a game? Where do I play? And we're like, no, you actually go, and it's in the flesh, it's physical, it's tactile. And we feel that, that's very important for kids, especially. So the idea there was that we would launch these stories in a very immediate way with people and with audiences. And then from there, we started getting interest in doing the games and doing the graphic novels and the animated series. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it didn't go, we had to close the venue. And funny enough, and at the time, I was always saying we need something tactile, something immediate. I've ended up more sort of exploring this virtual metaverse world. But I think for us and for Rashid as well, the key is, yes, it's virtual. Yes, there's metaverse, but how do we bridge back into our physical world? And how do we make this marriage between the two so that Metropolis isn't just something I have to plug into, it's also something you can get a taste of and can engage with, whether it's an art gallery exhibit, whether it's an actual product, whether it's seeing a concert. So I think it's kind of been very exciting now to go and sort of bring my past with filmmaking and then my experience with immersive experiences, and now finally finding this platform to bring them together in a very cool way.
Wow, that's very interesting. And I love the fact, because I know when I've read the website and different pieces of information on you guys, you're saying you're spanning the digital and the real world. So that's where that's coming from, the idea that you want to be able to go to a place as well as be in a place just virtually, because we do live in the real world. We are real people. So that makes a lot of sense. And the tactile thing makes a lot of sense too as well, because I don't think can you do touch in VR? I don't know if that works. Maybe you can. I mean, I'm not quite sure. I'm exposing my ignorance here now, but I love the fact that you're going to combine the two. That makes great sense. So Rashid, you are also very famous and very well known in your own right as well. You're a producer and DJ, audiovisual artist. So tell me a bit about your work and then how the two worlds sort of collided. And is this, by the way, I should ask, is this your first venture together as brother and sister, or have you ever worked together before?
It's our first like official venture. I mean, we've definitely collaborated in the past on a few music videos and smaller projects, but this is definitely the first kind of full-on business. Yeah, and my background, it's been in music and music production, and I think I've released on labels like Armada Music, Ministry of Sound, a lot of the deep house music labels. But I've always been very interested in like audiovisual and immersive, and how you can kind of take music and make it more experiential and immersive. So when I started to see what was happening in Web3 and with NFTs and the metaverse, I really felt there was an opportunity to kind of do something unique and interesting in the space. And I was, last year, I remember in August when I was first looking at some of these NFT collections at the time where there was a really kind of big hype around them. I just felt like there was room to do something with a little bit more depth. And I'm used to what Rania's done from a world building perspective and the levels she goes to when kind of creating the stories and mythology around the world. And I really felt that was missing in these collections that were super hyped up, and that there was room to create something just of a different quality and level than what's out there. And I think that's where we felt we really need to give this a shot and kind of push this forward.
And I was listening to some of your music. You're quite chill, am I right? You're kind of sort of like
yeah, exactly. I'm a bit more chilled.
We're actually using a lot of Rashid's music with our content now. So I edit a lot of stuff too. So it's been so nice that even the music is coming from Rashid's, and it's not just something we're licensing.
That is so cool. It comes from the back. You're both creatives. You're both artists, and across. It's interesting that you're artists, but you're also commercial in the sense that you're actually making films, documentaries. You're a DJ. You're producing music. So it's the whole gamut. You understand how it all fits together. And tell me a little bit before we go on to Metropolis. The We Are Animal NFTs that you did, Rashid. I was just saying before we started recording, I found them a bit scary actually. But tell me the concept behind these NFTs.
Totally. So, me and Rania were just exploring how we can blend her film and photography with my music, and just that was our first foray into just exploring what it's like to drop and just simply an NFT, because those are really more one-of-one audiovisual NFTs. So it was a great experience to do that. We did it on Nona Ridge, and Rania, I think you can speak more to the messaging behind the animal heads.
Well, we were sort of playing also on this whole craze with PFPs, and you have all these different animals that are being drawn, and with these in particular, they're more real. They're actually actual humans wearing these animal heads. So it's sort of like a fun take on the whole animal PFP craze, and also exploring photography. And something we also did, but we didn't launch, we did a ton of photography of the Libyan desert with Rashid's soundscapes. So at one time I went and did a whole tour, and there was some really incredible sites that you can't see anymore now within Libya and in that area. So that was also another sort of exploration of how do we sort of bring my visual expertise and Rashid's sort of audio, sonic and music, and how do we bring those together? So it was just our sort of first experimentation.
Yeah, no, very impressive. I found them a little bit scary actually, but very, I was like, I won't forget them. They're truly unforgettable, which is what you were memorable. Do you know what you remind me now of, both of you, how you're interacting and collaborating? You meet siblings sometimes who sing together, and they have the most beautiful voices because they come from the same family, whatever it is. So you're both your artistic sides, your filmmaking and music. It's something that's quite unique, I think, that you wouldn't get if you were just two other ordinary folk who weren't related to each other. So it's interesting. So now Metropolis, where did the first idea, now you've done the immersive stuff, but that was more for children. So where did the first idea for the Metropolis come from, and why Metropolis, the name?
Do you want me to go first, Rashid? Okay, and it sounds okay? Okay.
Yes, you're great. Perfect.
Okay, good. So the idea came about really very randomly. I was working with our artist, Raphael, and he has this way of creating different landscapes and city streets. And the idea just came of, well, what if we could create NFTs that were dynamic and where you could enter a street corner and sort of learn about the characters that live on that street and the going-ons, and how all these neighborhoods could be their own little micro communities, and how fun that would be. And then we started talking more, and we're like, well, okay, what if it's actually an entire metropolis, and that metropolis, you become part of an entire city, so you own a piece of that, and it's also you own a piece of a master painting. That was also something we were sort of exploring at the very beginning, this idea of owning a piece of a bigger artwork, especially at the beginning when we were a little bit more art focused. But as the more we started to build and the more stories we started to add, and the more we realized, okay, we could create an entire universe here, then we're like, okay, maybe it's not just one city, maybe it's 6 cities, and maybe the cities each have their own elemental power, and each one has its own quality and sort of style. So I think it just came out of really almost randomly, but I think it does in many ways fit our past and our background and our interests. And yeah, I don't know, Rashid, if you want to add to that.
No, totally. And I think that kind of blends in with the whole idea of the digi-physical, where, this metropolis, so let's take the first city, it can be a giant, beautiful painting that it could sit in a gallery. At the same time, it's a dynamic entire metaverse that you could enter and live in and actually engage within the ecosystem. So it's really that's the critical piece.
I think it's amazing that every piece of Metropolis, every street, every shop, every building, it's all unique. That's because a lot of metaverses have like generated things, so they're similar until maybe the owner personalize them, but these are all unique from the very beginning. How important was that to your project?
I think that was really kind of crucial for us as a differentiator. And, it's one of the big things that, this world is not a generative world. It's bespoke. So what you're owning as a property is completely unique to you, as well as already has a story from day one. So, it's like when you purchase a home in London, it has a history to it. It has people that lived there before you. It has a story. And we felt that was important to differentiating from like a Sandbox or Decentraland, where you're just buying this kind of plot of land that feels very generic and is hard to kind of engage with. So it was very important to us to kind of take that approach.
It's like when I look at the images, obviously behind you there, Rani, but look at them, it's like a mixture of some sort of medieval Italian town combined with a futuristic, crazy space world because of all the shapes and stuff like that. It's quite crazy.
Yeah. The idea behind that, the idea actually, a lot of people bring that up, is these cities were born from mass destructions from these 6 asteroids. And the idea is that it's all this collage and collection of past human history and culture, all in a mishmash. It's all sort of kind of been rebirthed again. But you'll have the sort of Asian influences with more Middle Eastern architecture, with future meets even very almost fairy tale. So it's almost like taking all of the, humanity's collective consciousness, and it's all formed this kind of very unique city with the very different flavors to the buildings.
Because it does look very like, to me, it kind of looks medieval in just the color, especially continental, I'm saying Italian, whatever, but it's very futuristic too as well, because the scale and the way it sort of all builds and stuff like that. So there's an idea with the whole idea of the physical and the virtual. So there's an idea they're going to have maybe art galleries connected and virtual gaming and a marketplace. So tell me some of the plans that are envisaged there.
Totally. We're very excited about this idea of like a digi-physical marketplace where, let's say you purchase a Supreme Metropolis t-shirt, like a unique drop that we would do in our ecosystem, you'd be able to get the real world Supreme t-shirt and wear that walking down the street and have the same exact one for your avatar in our virtual world. So it really just stays with this idea that, you know, you as in the real world and your digital or metaverse identity should have a link and should have, you know, a seamlessness to it. So we're quite excited by that concept. Like, let's say you purchased even a piece of furniture that would sit in your home in Metropolis, that you could also have that same beautiful design in your real world home. And we really get excited by this idea because it's a way to really bring brands into the ecosystem and activate and do interesting, unique, curated drops that I think could be really a great, you know, approach to this.
Well, I think it makes sense because I know people say, oh, can we live in a virtual world? We have kind of done in COVID on our Zooms and all the rest. And then you have all your NFTs and stuff, currently mostly static, not doing that much at the moment, on your wallet. But if I've got some nice stuff, I want to see it. I don't just want it on my wallet. I want to have it on the wall. I want to sit in it. So I like the idea of bridging, because even though it's nice to have it on your wallet, you can show it to your friends, but I'd like to have it elsewhere, on the walls perhaps, or, you know, as I say, sitting on and using it, drinking from it. So I think you're moving in the right direction. You're probably a bit ahead of the posse, which is kind of interesting. Now, you've had some really big names attached to your project already. Now, presumably it's because you have such a good reputation in your respective professions and careers so far. But do you want to tell us about some of the big names that are getting involved and helping out?
Definitely. I mean, we put this emphasis on partnerships where it's more authentic in its approach. So we brought on about 50 founding citizens that we are creating custom properties for in our ecosystem. And these
Jealous.
let's talk. We should definitely create your property. And yeah, so essentially from different backgrounds: art, music, film, crypto, brands, and the whole idea is that you come to the city from day one and it's already vibrant and rich and has these people, you know, providing to the ecosystem. That was really important to us. I want to add to that.
You want to name drop, Rania, a few of your big supporters?
Oh, sure. I mean, we're going across many different industries. So we've got someone like Melton Demoris, who's very big into the crypto world. You know, we have like the Steve Aoki, we have Galantis, we have wonderful artists, actually. That's a big one for us. So Fuck Render, Chad Knight, Ryan, thank you X. And then we actually have really interesting communities. So like Crypto Mories, Fishy Fam. So really bringing on board a really nice mixture of people across different sort of sectors.
Because I think community is what will help your project succeed or fail. Lack of community. I think you're hitting the nail on the head there. So let's turn now to the technology. So it's going to be built on Flare. Is there a reason why you chose the Flare blockchain?
So we met. So one of our investors is Outlier Ventures, and we were part of their accelerator program. So we were connected to Flare through the mentorship kind of introductions that were being made as being part of that accelerator. And we just had some great conversations and shared a lot of vision on this idea of how you can actually create something that's interoperable and go from that being theoretical to actually like applicable. And that's kind of how the conversation developed. And it was organic development over, you know, a few months. And yeah, we're very excited to work with them to really be able to allow this to be a capital city of the metaverse that's initially being launched on the Ethereum blockchain, but giving people the ability to maneuver across multiple blockchains and then also other metaverses. So we're really interested in this idea of being a hub that's connected to other metaverses and blockchains. And that's where we feel that there's a great partnership with Flare to explore how we actually make that a reality that's seamless.
And of course, Flare does present itself as it enables secure interoperability between different metaverse ecosystems. So you've got the right partner in there, and partnership being the name of the game. And Flare are going to also be, you've just finished your seed round, but Flare is also going to give you a grant as well with some Flare tokens to start the build, which is very exciting. So I also see there's going to be a token, a clay token, which is not not launched yet. You haven't your TGE yet. You're still in beta, am I right?
Yes.
And you can earn your soft clay currency going forward. But you're also launching passports. Tell me about the passports.
Totally. So the passport is essentially a dynamic NFT that's like the entry into Metropolis World. So to enter our world, you need a passport. And what that allows you to do is it gives you a chance to earn a property in our Genesis city, and then the cities that come after that. The first city is actually very limited. It's only around 500 properties, but the cities after will be more. It allows you, it guarantees you a spot to have an avatar. So we're launching these very beautiful avatars that will start as PFPs, but then actually be fully usable in our metaverse. And you can earn soft clay with your passport. Anything you do, even on our Discord or joining our events or going to a real world event, can allow you to earn this soft clay that builds up in your passport. And it allows you access to your gamer profile, and it's really just the key to the city. So we're quite excited about it. And there's 6 types of passports. They're very beautiful. They're artworks in their own right. And that's going to be our first launch in September. So
what would you say with Celeste being the first city? Is there a theme around Celeste? Is it an art city? Is it a sports city? You know, do you have a theme about the city, or is it just I say just a city, a very beautiful city? Is it cultural perhaps, or?
Yeah, it definitely has themes. It's definitely a cultural oasis, and it's definitely the theme of air, you know, Celeste, and it's the elemental power of air being the city in the clouds. I think music is a very big piece of it. We have a lot of founding citizens that are DJs, musicians, you know, very much in the music industry. So that's definitely, I think, a big one for us, is sort of a city of music and also art. And then there's a whole theme from the mythology, which is this idea of being able to fly, that a lot of the avatars, the citizens and the nomads, some of them have wings. So flight is like a big piece of the storytelling. And how do you get to the different parts of the city using flying contraptions and sort of different sort of fun things.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I love the idea of flying. I think most people dream of flying, don't they? So it's like be able to put it into reality. So tell me, just give me a little bit of idea about the roadmap. So where are you now? You've finished your pre-seed. Well, what's going to happen in the next? We're now in July, middle of July, in the heat wave. What's going to happen in the coming months?
So we've just started our like official social rollout, where we'll start to tease some of these assets, that the passports, the city, the website will launch, which we're really excited about. I mean, it's just it's going to be a phenomenal website in comparison to what you see out there, fully immersive and interactive, and something you could spend hours exploring. And then from there, we will push to start to announce all these partners we have, these 50 to 100 early partners, and really start, you know, just creating events for them, AMAs, talks, workshops, physical events. And then we'll launch the passports in September to bring in our early first community. And we'll work with that community to really then build out the first kind of core features of the platform. So we've already actually built the digi-physical marketplace, the gamer profiles. But when it comes to the actual virtual world, we want that feedback loop. We want to work with our with the users of the world to actually build something that people really want to live in and be part of. So that will all be happening. And then at the same time, we are talking to some really great kind of partners, investment partners that may want to come in and invest to accelerate that process, to really help us build the Roblox type model, where we have a very flexible, customized world that people can do a ton of stuff in, and essentially create their own ecosystem within there, run a business in there, have their own gallery in there, have their own kind of publication that publishes out to the Metropolis World community. So on that, last thing to mention is we're also launching a Metropolis World grant, our own grant, not as big and epic as the Flair grant, but it's more just for small creators to build in our world. And that could be something as simple as like a film or book club, to actually kind of creating a more fully fledged concept that would live in Metropolis World, because we want to empower smaller creators that are just getting into the space to have a space to build in.
I did see that, because and the fund is, it's not bad. It's up to 5,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's enough to get you started. Well, very exciting. And I love the fact you're giving back and you're only just starting out. That's pretty cool. So amazing. So if people want to find out more, the websites will be live very soon. And can you give me the website so people can go and have a look?
Yeah, so it's going to be metropolisworld.io is the website.
Well, I think it sounds amazing. It sounds like a place that I want to live in and fly around in and do things in. So thank you very much. And again, say you have a lovely harmony there, both of you working together, brother and sister. It adds something special to the project. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much
Thank
for having
you
us.